Hello and welcome. Happy Thursday, everyone. I am excited to be here with you today to talk about Berkeley Haas and Yale SOM. This is for the full-time MBA programs. And as usual, every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we talk about one component of the MBA application. Each week there's a different topic. So if you're new to our channel, make sure that you subscribe so that you are notified about all of our future events that we'll be hosting. One of which is next week. We will be talking about essentially how do you maximize, when you have 30 days left in pre-application due date. We are essentially close to 30 days away from round 2 deadlines. So this will be definitely beneficial for those of you who are applying to round 2. So if you haven't registered, please register for that event and subscribe, of course, to our channel for all future topics. We do try to keep topics in relation to where the applicant journey is, so it can be very helpful to go through this process. If you're looking for content in terms of how do you write your resume, how do you write different components around the application, letters of recommendation, you can go to our YouTube channel. We have a library of videos, past events that we've held that talk about different components, and some of those are more pragmatic in terms of specifics in how you put together an application or different segments of the application. I will be monitoring, so I have a screen on my right that I will be monitoring essentially commentary. So if you guys have any comments, questions along the way from whichever platform you're joining us, just write them in your chat feature and I will be answering them. Don't worry, we won't put your name on the screen, so you'll be totally safe to ask the question. I will read the question out loud and answer it, so this way we can discuss it and be a benefit to everyone that is present. All right, so let's get started. I have put together a few slides. And before we do that, let's just talk a little bit about, who I am, who SIA Admissions is. So SIA Admissions is a boutique admission coaching firm focused on a tailored approach to guiding applicants through the MBA application journey. We do spend quite a bit of time understanding the candidates' experiences, their motivators, what makes them shine, and help them communicate that in a language that resonates with the business schools that they're targeting. We do have a very customized, very rigorous, I would say, approach to the coaching through to the application process. And our intention is that for those applicants who really want to take this process very seriously, that we help, handhold them through the process and make sure that they're doing all the right things to increase their chances of gaining admission. I'm sure if you are in the forums, you have already read that there is a 30% increase in applicants this year. So you are going to, competition is definitely high, and you want to make sure that you are presenting yourself in the best light possible. So someone who is invested in your success can definitely be a value add to your journey and your career growth. And who am I? I am the founder of SIA Admissions. I founded the business with the premise that they are coaching firms that didn't have this hand-holding, customized approach, and we've kept SIA Admissions in that particular methodology in terms of our coaching process. We really want to help applicants see what values do they bring and be able to give them sometimes new perspective on how to present and how to see their own experiences. So for today, I have an agenda. We're going to obviously focus on the 2 schools. We're going to look at their program strengths. We're going to look at some of the key differences, admission insights in terms of what the admission team is looking for. How do you craft an MBA application? This is going to be very macro because obviously we can have separate, and we have had separate sessions on school-specific, how to approach each school-specific application process, and then how do you choose the right program based on your specific needs and wants. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit macro, but if you have specific questions, I definitely invite you to write your question in the chat of whichever platform you're joining us from. Again, if you see me look to the right, I'm monitoring the chat feature. All right, so let's start with Yale. Actually both Yale and Berkeley have a very small class. Yale has about 347. This is the class of 26. And the admission rate is close to 33% of applicants are admitted to the program. In terms of what the structure of the curriculum, so the teaching methodology at Yale, they have quite an interesting, I would say somewhat unique approach, or at least marketing is unique approach of the curriculum, and that is an integrated curriculum. They're looking at the intersection of different segments of a business, and they do boast essentially approaching, integrating raw cases into the teaching style. And raw cases, the intention with raw cases is that you're going to get a more realistic understanding of essentially how to make really difficult decisions when you have information, when you don't have enough information. How do you operate as a business leader with real world data, which is always a little bit messy. They also bring quite a bit of guest speakers to the classrooms, so you get quite a immersed experience on campus. In terms of the culture, it is very mission driven. They do and we'll talk more about who is someone who's successful at Yale. They do like individuals who have a purpose, a mission. It is very much a diversity focused school, and it's very collaborative. The classroom is very small. You're in New Haven, college town, so the community and collaboration, it's very, very real. In terms of post-MBA opportunities, consulting is very strong, finance is very strong, tech as well, retail, healthcare, CPG. So you have quite a lot of different ways that you can leverage essentially Yale SOM's training, hands-on experiences, global perspective to help you get into your desired sector. The strength of Yale SOM, it is that mission-driven focus, and that is across all sectors. So this mission-driven personality is really what they're looking for, and that's what, or those are the personalities of people who are successful at Yale. And obviously employers who have this mission-driven focus are very much attracted to Yale SOM graduates. I mentioned earlier, the integrated curriculum does look at the intersection between, let's say, operations and marketing, or finance and ops. So the intersection allows for you to really develop your critical thinking skills, your understanding holistically of what your business decisions or how your business decisions impact the greater organization. And they want to train leaders who are going to be individuals who are not just thinking about their own individual segment of the business, but rather their segment of the business and how it operates and how it impacts the rest. They're very strong in terms of their connection to Yale University. So Yale as a whole, there's quite a bit of overlap there. You have an opportunity to take classes at the different schools within Yale. So if you are, for example, interested in healthcare, obviously healthcare is really strong at Yale. If you're interested in nonprofit, government kind of opportunities, definitely very strong at Yale. And then there's quite a strong global emphasis that you will have not only just your peers that are part of the Yale SOM, but also students that are coming from different universities that are enrolled there. So there's quite a bit of opportunity for international exposure, as well as obviously getting perspectives from individuals that are coming from different markets. In terms of Berkeley Haas is slightly smaller than Yale, but both are, again, relatively small classes in the grand scheme of things. When you look at, for example, Harvard with 1,000, Harvard with 1,000, Wharton with like 900 students, this is a small class in comparison. Admission rate at Haas is about 23%, so it's slightly more challenging to get into Haas. Their curriculum is essentially the focus at Haas is developing ethical leaders, and the teaching methodology is focused around really letting the professors decide what it is, how they want to teach the class. So it can be lectures, it can be simulations, experiential learning opportunities. So it really depends on your interest in the courses that you are enrolled in and the professor's preferred method of teaching. So if that's something that you're comfortable with, definitely this can be a really good program to focus on. In terms of culture, Haas has a very clear defining leadership principles in terms of who they're looking for, what character you must hold, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a little bit in the next few slides. And they are looking for this very collaborative individual who is going to be able to, of course, contribute to the Haas community. Innovation, given their location, innovation, entrepreneurship is very much a part of the curriculum there. And they do have a focus on social responsibility. So whichever sector you are interested in being, whether it's finance, whether it's consulting, energy, technology, any one of those areas, there is definitely a huge emphasis on social responsibility because their core defining principles are a core of who they are and the kinds of students that have success there. In terms of post-MBA opportunities, obviously, again, geography, tech is very strong there. Consulting is also quite prominent, and I mean, I think that's true across all schools, so I'm not sure I'm gonna put a lot of emphasis on that. Finance as well, sustainability and social impact. So individuals who are interested in the energy sector, like Berkeley, is a great place to be. In terms of the strengths for Berkeley Haas, the leadership and innovation component, it's essentially what Haas promises to its MBA students. Developing ethical leaders who see themselves as socially responsible individuals and take action towards creating a more equitable world is what makes Berkeley Haas stand out. There is an entrepreneurial focus. So as a socially responsible leader, you can be an entrepreneur in creating solutions to problems that we have been facing in the business world. And of course, it's a very collaborative culture. Given this class size, it's relatively small. So individuals who want this collaborative environment, want people who are really down to earth, Berkeley Haas is a great place to be. All right, so what are the differences? Differences in curriculum. So Yale, I mentioned integrated curriculum in the raw cases. So I think if you are someone who really wants that holistic approach to business and really wants to understand how your decisions are impacting the greater organization and you want as much of a simulation of real world business decision making process, then Yale is a great program in terms of helping you get that training. If you're looking to be in innovation focused and leadership development kind of space, then definitely Berkeley is going to put quite a lot of emphasis in training you to be this socially responsible leader. And obviously entrepreneurship is very strong at Haas. Not to say that Yale does not have entrepreneurship, of course, it's just their strengths are a little bit different. In terms of learning, Yale has a much stronger global emphasis, and both are very collaborative, of course, but the global emphasis is really strong at Yale. So if you are looking to be a global leader, someone who is going to work at organizations that have this global angle, right? Then Yale is going to definitely be a stronger place for you to emphasize. In terms of Berkeley, obviously the learning is much more focused around experiential learning and data-driven tech approach to problem solving. So if you want that angle in terms of your training, absolutely Berkeley will be a much stronger place for that. In terms of post-MBA focus, like I mentioned, Yale has a global scope. So, consulting, finance, tech, nonprofit with that global scope in mind is what attracts employers to Yale graduates. So if that's your goal, and again, when you're going through school selection process, the assumption is that you would have already done some work in determining what is it that you want. And then you are filtering from there the schools that you are applying to. Haas, if you want the tech innovation being at the heart of, action in the technology space, and if you want entrepreneurship, definitely Berkeley will be a great place in terms of your post-MBA opportunities. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the admission components, that what Yale is looking for, and then we'll talk about what Berkeley is looking for. Obviously, they want achievers. Yale is an Ivy League, Yale University is an Ivy League, and obviously Yale SOM does lean on Yale University quite a bit. When I attended Yale, not Yale SOM, but another school within Yale University, the dean essentially said that they're unapologetic about the rigor of the program. And that will be true across schools. The program is rigorous. They are asking for quite a lot of you, and they want to make sure that you're going to be successful. So, showcasing that you have strong academics is going to be really important in your application. And that obviously is going to come through your academic experiences. It's going to come through your test score, so that you can demonstrate to them that you are someone who will be able to handle the rigorous expectations of Yale. In terms of professional achievement as well, they want to see growth, even if your title didn't change, because sometimes there are employers that are not essentially going through, are not giving out promotions, right? But they want to see a scope change, a growth in your professional environment, professional experiences. That's definitely something that they will be looking at in your resume, in the way you talk about your experiences that you've had in your essays. And then they also want individuals who have an understanding of why you want an MBA and how is Yale going to help you get to your goals. This is really important because when you go on campus, you have a very short window in terms of making those decisions. And for some, who especially those who are considering consulting, it's no window, right? You need to know that this is what you want to do, and you want to have a very clear orientation in terms of where you're going. If you don't, what will happen is going to really delay the process and obviously can impact employment post the degree. So when they're looking at an applicant, they are looking at your past as indicative of your future potential, and do you have a clear understanding of where you're going in terms of, the sector, the function that you want to hold, and how Yale is going to help you get there. They're also looking for individuals who have a commitment to Yale SOM's mission, which is educating leaders for business and society. When I talked about that, element around social responsibility, community focus elements, that is what you want to communicate across your application. Sometimes this doesn't necessarily translate to your day-to-day job, so it can be coming from your volunteer experiences, your extracurriculars, whether those are in college or since college, but you do want to embody the Yale SOM mission in your application, and it has to be very evident that you match the Yale values. In terms of personal quality, they're looking for individuals who have integrity, resilience, and ability to overcome challenges. That will come through most of the time in your either in short segments of your resume, which if you are working through your resume, you can go back to watch our how to write an MBA resume video on YouTube. So it can come across through there, or it can come across through your essay or video component that accompanies the Yale SOM application. One of the things that, one example that I hear oftentimes that actually the Dean of Admission at Yale talks about is, someone did the video essay and they fell off the chair. And this person was admitted because of they saw it as, that resilience, you fell literally, right, in this case, but also metaphorically, falling, but yet coming back up and standing back up. No one should be staging this, by the way. I should make this very clear. Please don't stage a fall in the video component, but it just emphasizes how much they value individuals who have that resilience mindset and the ability to overcome any challenges that they experience. In terms of Berkeley, so here are the defining principles that Berkeley evaluates candidates on, that Berkeley operates with, and is something at the core of who they are. So when they're looking at applicants, they are looking at them from the lens of the 4 defining principles, which is questioning the status quo. This is individuals who are always looking at, is what we're doing the right decision? Can we do things differently? Can we do things better? Obviously, it's not different to just, challenge the status quo. It's rather, how can we do things in a way that is going to, you're questioning the status quo and then finding, of course, solutions that are better than what you had previously. Confidence with that attitude, it means that you are making data-backed decisions, but you are not going, approaching anyone with arrogance in your delivery, right? You are confident in your research, but you're not coming across as an arrogant individual, essentially. I am obviously very much paraphrasing these interpretations. Student always, this is someone who is always looking to learn, always looking for new perspectives, new ways of doing things. That is very much an element of the entrepreneurial mindset that is at Berkeley Haas. So you must embody this in your application. And if you think about social responsibility, I talked about earlier, beyond yourself, it's very much an element of that. Beyond yourself means that you are not only looking at your own personal gains and benefits when making decisions, but you are actually looking at how is the work that you do going to impact the greater community. And your community can mean different things, and I mean that in a very much a broad sense. Your beyond yourself can mean your team, it can mean your department, it can mean your organization, it could mean literal community outside of your building or outside the building of the institution or the organization you work at. So community can mean many different things, but you must embody someone who really cares about the other also, and not only yourself, essentially. Quantitative and analytical skills are going to be something that they're looking for in your application. So make sure that you are communicating that across your resume, across your experiences that you share, whether that's in the video or in the essay that Berkeley Haas has you write. And you are going to want to communicate that you will be a positive contribution to the Berkeley Haas community, that you will be able to, that should say resilience and not resistance, resilience, that you are resilient, you are a team player. Again, it's a very small class, so they're looking for someone who have demonstrated teamwork capabilities and that they're able to work with others. And because you are in this very much entrepreneurial space, it is expected that you have some creativity, and that's part of the reason why they are looking at your question or asking the question, what makes you feel alive when you're doing it? And so make sure that you are keeping the elements of what they're looking for in mind and looking for ways that you have demonstrated these experiences. It's not about trying to fit the mold and coming up with make-up stories, because it's very evident when those stories are made up. But so authenticity is really, really important in this process. So reflect on your experiences and be able to communicate them effectively. And I think I can talk about this quite a bit, so I'm gonna speed up a little bit because I realized that we're 25 minutes in and I'm still talking and not leaving room for questions. But if you have questions, please ask them in the comments, because I will be ending the call, ending the live at 10:30 my time, Eastern time. Okay, so when you're choosing the programs, how do you choose between the schools, right? On the very macro level scale, and obviously everyone has their own reasons for doing an MBA and what the parameters that they're looking for. But from the macro level perspective, there are three components that everyone should be looking at when choosing a school. How does it align with your career goals? What's the culture fit? And what are the long-term network? I always talk about an MBA being a long-term game, and it's not about just that post-MBA job. So you have to think about, where do you see your future being, and how is the school connected, and what's the network like from a, where you imagine yourself being in the future. You want to be in the right culture. Being in the right culture can be the difference maker in your entire experience. So if you're in a culture that you don't feel like you belong there, and I don't mean it in a challenging way, I mean it is in a more a negative way, where there's no personalities just don't mesh well, then it can be very miserable 2 years, right? And obviously you're doing an MBA, you're investing money, time, resources into a 2-year program. You want to make sure that by the end of this, you're going to get to where you want to go. So with those components in mind, when we evaluate between Yale and Berkeley Haas, in terms of career alignment, obviously consulting for both is going to be true, but more so for Yale. I talked earlier about the global management. So if you're looking to work at organizations that have this very global perspective of leadership, absolutely Yale is the place. If you're looking to be in nonprofit or public sector, absolutely Yale is also. I didn't include them in here because the slide ended up being really large, but healthcare, it's really strong at Yale. I would say, social responsibility is also strong at Yale, but is less so than at Berkeley. For Yale, if you are looking to get the training on how to make business decisions that are looking at how an organizations operate holistically, then definitely Yale is the place. In terms of, Haas, if you're looking for, to being in technology and entrepreneurship, you're looking to be around innovation that's taking place. So product managers who are looking to be in any one of the fields that are strong at Berkeley. So obviously consulting, finance, technology, energy, that place, Berkeley is a great place to be. In terms of culture fit, both have very collaborative environments. Yale is very much a mission-driven, collaborative, and very diverse student body. Haas has a more entrepreneurial, innovation, and also very inclusive community and environment. I would say if you want the creative innovation space, Berkeley is going to be much, much stronger than Yale. In terms of the network, Yale has definitely a much more stronger global network. So if you see yourself working for global organizations, being a little bit more mobile, then Yale SOM may be a better option for you. And if you see yourself really staying within the technology space, the startup space, then Berkeley Haas is definitely the place to be. Okay, so when you craft your applications, obviously, it's really important that you tailor your application to, one, highlight your relevant strengths in relation to what the school is looking for, and obviously make sure that you communicate exactly how the school meets your goals. And when I say exactly, I literally mean exactly, like what specifically the school, what are the specific things that the schools offer that will help you get to where you want to go. It's the only evidence that they have before they invite you to interview that you've done your due diligence and you've done your research. So make sure you communicate that across. In terms of leadership focus, you're going to be obviously emphasizing your connection to the school's values and demonstrating that you have leadership capabilities. Both schools do actually care about that, so it's going to be really important that you communicate this. Also, make sure that your recommenders that you choose are individuals who can speak to your leadership potential and character, and both of those things must match the values of each of the schools or one of the schools that you are applying to. So depending on which one you end up choosing. Perfect. If you are looking for support in your application, whether this is you're watching this, as we speak live, or watching it as a replay, definitely feel free to reach out to schedule a consultation. There's no obligation in the consultation, and we will talk about your goals, what you're looking for, what kind of support do you need, and then we can talk about how our approach can support you and see if there's synergy between the two. Excellent. So I invite you guys to join me next week, especially if you're applying in round 2, how to maximize the time that you have for the next 30 days to make sure that you have a really strong application by the time you submit. So register for that event if that's something that resonates, especially if you're a round 2 applicant. And if you still want to have a conversation because you're applying next year, absolutely reach out as well. Excellent. So I think we are over time already. I don't see any new questions in the chat, but if you're watching this as a replay, definitely we're always monitoring our YouTube, our social media platforms. So if you have questions there, definitely message us and we'll be glad to respond in that way. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next week.